What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be discussing what I personally think is one of the most underrated hotel keeper cards on the market. This credit card does have an annual fee, but you can easily offset it by just using one simple credit that comes with the card, and then every other credit on the card beyond that is pretty much just a bonus. So, what credit card am I talking about? Well, none other than the Chase IHG One Rewards Premier Credit Card. I'll be going through those credits and benefits that come with this card, and with each credit benefit I mention, I'll give a personal take and my own opinion on that credit or benefit itself and why I think you can get so much value from it. And once you combine them all, of course, getting an insane amount of value. So let's go through it today and see why this card is so underrated and why I think it should be talked about more. All right, so let's get into the multipliers with this credit card. So the main multiplier is the 26x points that you can earn on IHG hotels and resorts. Now, technically, when it says that, you're not actually earning 26x points from this credit card. You're actually earning 10x points from the card itself, and then another 10x points for being an IHG member, which anyone can earn just for being a member, and then another 6x points on top of that for being a platinum member, which is something that comes with this card, and we'll get into more of that later. Then you can earn 5x points on travel, gas stations, and dining purchases, and finally topping it off with 3x points on all other purchases. Let's dive into these multipliers a little bit deeper because they do sound really nice. 10x, 5x, it all sounds great, but you are earning IHG points and not, say, Chase Ultimate Rewards points. So what does that mean? Well, pretty much every single point system has its own true value to it. So for example, looking at the points guys valuations of each specific point, if we compare it to Chase Ultimate Rewards points, that's worth about 2 cents per point, whereas IHG points, they classify at about 0.5 cents per point. Now, personally, after doing some research within the IHG app and looking at properties and their point values, I would classify IHG points at about 0.6 cents per point, so a little bit higher than that 0.5. But nonetheless, that's still much less than, say, a Chase Ultimate Rewards point. So if we do the math on that and change it from 1 cent per point to actually 0.6 cents per point, you can see that the 10x points that you get from IHG Hotels is actually 6x points. The 5x points is actually 3x, and 3x points on all purchases is actually 1.8x points. So comparing that to, say, a Chase Sapphire Preferred credit card, you'd be earning 6x points on hotel stays, basically IHG stays, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred earns 5x points to the portal or just 2x points on basic travel. Then the 5x category is actually 3x points on this IHG card, and so that compares quite nicely to the Sapphire Preferred earning 3x on dining and whatnot. I will say gas stations is not a Chase specialty, so you could use this card for gas station spend. Otherwise, I would choose a Chase card that earns Chase UR points. And then that final category being the 3x on everything is actually 1.8x. And so in this case, it's kind of up to you on what you'd rather use. I mean, an unlimited card from Chase earns 1.5x, whereas this is 1.8x, but technically you're earning UR points, which are more valuable. You can transfer those out to partners. So I'd probably still use a Chase card that earns UR points. It really just depends what your goals are. If you have an IHG stay coming up and you'd really like to earn some more IHG points, then you can definitely use an IHG card. So it's all preference. It's not a bad earning card, but at the same time, it's not the best. The biggest recommendation I would say is use this card if you're staying at an IHG property, as you can earn a ton of points. Otherwise, it's up to you, but I'd probably use a Chase UR earning card. All right, so let's dive into some specific benefits and credits that come with the IHG Premier card. This card does have a $99 annual fee, but it's super easy to recoup, especially in that first year, thanks to the very nice sign-up bonus that comes with this card. The sign-up bonus is earn 165,000 points after spending $3,000 in the first 3 months of account opening. 165,000 points is quite a solid amount, even for IHG points. If you take into account the 0.6 cent per point valuation that the points guy gives IHG points, then it's about $1,000 that you're getting for the sign-up bonus. So technically speaking, that sign-up bonus can easily cover the card for like up to 10 years, but we'll just think of it as a really nice first-year reward. It also depends how you use those points. I mean, you can use them for 10 to 15 plus nights on very cheap properties, or you can stay at a very nice one, such as a Regent, Intercontinental, Six Senses, one of those, and get some really great value, but you would only be getting about 3 or 4 nights. Either way, that's about $1,000 in savings. So now, what about after the first year and it renews that second year and beyond? What's the best way to get value from this card? Well, in my opinion, the easiest way and really the best way is by the annual free night that you earn on this card after holding the card for 12 months. And on every single anniversary after that, you'll receive a free night award up to 40,000 IHG points. Now, this free night can be topped off with any amount of points you'd like. So it's kind of just like a 40,000 point voucher per se. But looking at the IHG properties on their app, there are a ton of properties that are under that 40,000 threshold. And so you can easily use that free night for one of those properties. And usually around that 40,000 point mark, they're about $150 to $200. And so that easily covers the annual fee, if not almost doubles the annual fee. So just from that credit alone, you're already ahead. Moving on to the next credit, you'll earn Platinum Elite status with this credit card just for having it open. So what does Platinum status actually give you? Well, like I mentioned earlier, it does come with a 60% bonus on IHG stays for points, that is. That's where the extra 6x points comes from. And then as you can see on screen, there are plenty of other benefits as this is the second highest tier status with IHG. Some of the bigger ones I'll point out would be rollover nights for next year's status, reward night discounts, which personally I haven't seen too much about, complimentary upgrades subject to availability, a welcome amenity at check-in, which can be either points or a drink or snack. And then a big one being early check-in, again, subject to availability, but I know that can help a ton of people out when needed. And then late checkout, which is also for most members. But as you can see, there are plenty of benefits with being a Platinum member, and you don't have to do anything besides just open the card and pay the annual fee to become a Platinum Elite with IHG. So of course, you will get better benefits internationally because so many people in the US do have status with IHG or any hotel chain for that matter. And so it's more difficult to see some true benefits here in the US. And also with certain properties, I mean, like a Holiday Inn Express, there aren't going to be really many upgrade options to begin with. So I recommend traveling internationally to truly experience some of those benefits. And that goes for any hotel loyalty program because it's just so much harder to experience them within the US. The next benefit with this card, and actually comes with any IHG card, is redeem 3 nights and get a 4th night free. Now, this only works when you're using points to book, and so if you're booking 4 or more nights with points, you will get that 4th night free. And this does stack, so say you're staying 8 nights in a row at one single property, you'll actually get 2 nights free with that booking. Personally, I really like this benefit because some of the other hotel chains like Hilton or Marriott have the 5th night free, but 4th is just so much more flexible because I find myself staying at hotels for 3 or 4 nights. And in this case, I would easily extend it to a 4th night because it's free. And then, of course, this gets you even more value with those points because say you do find a redemption that's about 0.6 cents per point. Once you get that 4th night for free, that's going to elevate that to closer to 0.8 cents per point, for example, and you can get even more value with those points that you're earning. Moving on to the next benefit, this card does have no foreign transaction fees, which of course doesn't really move the needle for many of us because there's so many credit cards out there that do have no foreign transaction fees, but it's still nice to have on a card, especially when you're staying at properties that are international properties. You don't have to worry about any fees associated with them. Moving on, this card also does provide a global entry, TSA PreCheck, or Nexus credit. This is up to $100 every 4 years, and I think this is a pretty underrated benefit because, again, many cards do have this benefit. I know. However, this card is only $99 and it's a keeper card because you get that annual free night. And so, knowing you have this option every 4 years, or even just using it for a spouse, a family member, whatever it may be, for a $99 annual fee card that's pretty much already paid for thanks to that free night, I mean, it's just, again, a bonus on top. I'll take it. Moving on to that next credit. This one is earn $100 or 10,000 bonus points after spending $20,000 each calendar year on the credit card. I'm not really going to go into detail on this credit. Most of us probably aren't going to get that. We're not going to put $20,000 on this card. But if you are a high spender, it's there. It's an extra 10,000 points or $100. Why not? Okay, now moving on to another credit that I actually did not know about until very recently when I was just making my last video on ranking all the hotel credit cards. I saw this credit when looking into this card, and the credit is earning $50 for United Airlines TravelBank cash each year. Now, technically, this is actually broken up into $25 twice a year. So in January, you'll get $25 and it expires in 6 months. And then in July, you'll get another $25 again that expires in 6 months. So unfortunately, you cannot stack this credit, and you actually cannot stack it with the IHG Business Premier card as I thought you could, but I did see a data point that that is not an option. So at most, it will only be $25. But again, it has plenty of credits that already offset that annual fee for you. And so you're basically just getting a $25 coupon for United flights, and you don't have to do anything besides link your United account with your IHG account, and boom, there you go. So I know, it's not a crazy credit. It's only 25 bucks every 6 months, so nothing to write home about. However, if you do fly United, it is there. I mean, it's a free $25 coupon pretty much. And even if you don't fly United that often, myself personally, my home airport is not a United hub, so I don't fly it too often, but I have flown to New York a few times and used United to fly into EWR. I've flown to Chicago a few times. I might fly over to LA and actually use United because it is one of the cheaper options. So even if you're not in a hub with United, it's still possible to use even just here and there. And so again, it's a free 25 bucks. You might as well. Now on to the next benefit with this card. You will actually earn a 20% bonus when purchasing IHG points with this credit card. Now, this is a nice benefit they have with the card, but at the same time, they often run promotions for, 80% if not 100% bonuses when purchasing points. So I wouldn't recommend using this benefit that often or at all even. However, it is nice to have at least a floor of a 20% bonus if you need to purchase points and top off some points for a stay you have coming up, for example. And finally, to top the card off, it does come with some purchase protections as well as some insurance coverages. So the purchase protection with this card is it actually covers a new purchase for 120 days against damage or theft up to $500 per claim and $50,000 per account. As for the trip cancellation and the interruption insurance, this is if your trip is canceled or cut short by sickness, severe weather, and other covered situations. You can be reimbursed up to $5,000 per person and $10,000 per trip for your prepaid non-refundable travel expenses, including passenger fares, tours, hotels, that sort of thing. Now, of course, you can't compare this to the insurances that come with the Sapphire credit cards, especially the Sapphire Reserve, as that's a Visa Infinite. So, of course, it's going to have much better benefits. But again, you're paying $99 for this card, and it still comes with some decent insurances and purchase protection. So, something to keep in the back of your mind when making purchases with this credit card. All right, that was a lot to cover for just a $99 annual fee card. As you can see, this packs a punch when it comes to the middle tier Keeper hotel credit cards. And so it's safe to say that this is a Keeper card that pretty much anyone can use as long as you travel once or twice a year and you can stay at an IHG property, which they do have over 6,000 properties in their portfolio. So I don't think it'd be too difficult to find one, even if it's just like a Holiday Inn Express. It's a place to sleep, especially for a one night stopover or layover, whatever it may be. There are ways to stay at IHG properties, as there's plenty of them around the world. And this card will elevate your stay with that status, with the free night that you get every single year, redeeming a fourth night free, and even getting global entry or TSA PreCheck for yourself, a significant other. There are plenty of benefits and credits that come with this credit card. Just use one of them, which is the free night every single year, and you have now covered that annual fee for that year, and the card at that point is just free to keep. My dad is actually an IHG loyalist because he travels a bit for work, and so he decided to stay at your typical Holiday Inn Express when he travels, and so he's already a Diamond member, and even then, I showed him this card, and immediately, no hesitation, applied for it, was approved, got a nice sign-up bonus, and now he gets a free night every single year. He can save some points when redeeming points. He actually did sign up for TSA PreCheck, and so he got that covered with this card. I mean, it's a no-brainer card. Even for myself, I'm super excited to get this card in the future because I do have some travel plans coming up, and I do have some nights already covered. But as we all know, when you're on vacation, hotel stays can really add up. And so there's a trip in Europe I'm hoping to take, and getting this IHG card will cover more than half the nights on that trip because of how many points you can get from the sign-up bonus and utilizing those points so efficiently, especially with the fourth night free, plus having that platinum status, and I can get my wife global entry thanks to this card. So as you can tell, I'm pretty excited to get it, and I also plan on making a video on IHG redemptions and also just the program itself, as it's actually a very valuable program that, once again, people don't really utilize just because IHG isn't as flashy as Marriott or Hyatt, for example. But I do think you can get some really good value with the IHG program. And so I'm hoping this will help open some people's eyes into the program itself. But I do plan on making an IHG rewards program video as a whole. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth video on the IHG One Rewards Premier credit card from Chase Bank. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And be sure to check out one of the other videos on the screen. And I will catch you guys in the next one.